hope you had a great Australia Day. And I celebrated by dressing up as a walking Australia flag. And then I wandered over the Harbour Bridge and I joined in the Sydney festivities. And I have to say, Sydney was pretty patriotic and all the tourists were getting involved. It was quite nice. Did you do anything patriotic on Australia Day, or were you down there with the Invasion Day protests?
Well, I actually had to get out of Melbourne. I had to flee Melbourne for Australia Day. I actually went to New South Wales to deliver a speech to a group of UAP members and supporters on Australia Day Eve. When I came back on Australia Day, though, or when I came back, all I saw was the Australia Day Invasion Day protests, these darn communists running amok on the streets of Melbourne, and of course the statue that was cut off at the ankles. And as far as I've heard, the local council, I believe it's the Yarra Council, is considering not putting the statue back up. Bunch of communists, in my opinion, is what they are. These people don't love Australia. They don't love Melbourne. They don't love our history. I've had a gutful of all of these people, but let's talk about it.
Well, we've got the Labor Party in particular and the activist class telling migrants that they should be ashamed of the Australian flag, that our nation is evil and terrible, that they should unite against those of colonial descent to destroy the state, which was one of the quotes that we heard being put forward on these videos, which quite frankly included incitement to violence. Now, Senator, you are a migrant. I see you flying the flag every chance you get. Compared to the nations that the majority of these migrants are fleeing, is Australia really such a terrible country? And if people come here, shouldn't they be at least somewhat sensitive and respectful to Australia's history and culture?
Not only should they be respectful of it, they should absolutely kiss the hallowed earth of Australia when they got here. You mentioned colonialism. We're actually very, very lucky that Australia was colonised by the British in the first place. It would have been much worse had we been colonised, in my opinion, by the Chinese or somebody else like this. How bad would our lives have been then? The British gave us the systems that we needed to have the prosperous, safe, amazing country that we all get to enjoy today. So I'm glad that the British found Australia first and not somebody else. And I'm very glad about that because I get to live in this country today. Now, I'm not saying that our history was perfect. It was far from perfect. No history in the world of any nation is perfect, but we are gosh darn lucky that it was the British that set this country up in the first place and that we all get to enjoy it today. I am a migrant, like you mentioned. I came here when I was quite young. I came here when my parents brought me here for a better life, and a better life I have had, and so has every other migrant that's come to this country. But I'm going to go off on a little tangent right now, and I apologize. I know we don't have much time, but I'd like to talk about multiculturalism. I believe that multiculturalism has failed our nation. And I'm saying this as a migrant. I think that we already have a culture here. It is the Australian culture. And I think that when people come to Australia, yes, you can pay homage to where you're from and have respect for your ancestry, etc., no problem. But when you come here, you adopt the values of Australia, you love our red, white, and blue, you appreciate the culture that we already have here, and you integrate into our society. You don't come here, you don't freaking come here and then try and tear the country down and rebuild it and remake it like the hole that you left before you came here. You can bleep that out if you have to. But that's my personal views, and I'm going to stick to that. I don't care what anyone says. God bless Australia.